If you have a large organization, different departments have different answers for the goals of the organization. Or different people, if you have a small business, small organization, different people have different answers about what the vision is or where the organization or business is going. If everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. And when nothing is a priority, people feel like they're going in different directions. As an entrepreneur, it can be done. So alignment doesn't vanish overnight. It slips away little by little by little. But again, you can fix it. And it starts today. So when teams stay aligned, results will follow. Every leader loves the moment when the team is firing on all cylinders. Everybody's focused, the goals are clear, the energy is high. But here's the reality. Alignment doesn't usually break overnight. It starts with those small cracks, the subtle warnings that most leaders, let's be honest, we tend to miss. And if you ignore those signals, you're going to wake up one day wondering why all your top talent is disengaged, why those deadlines continue to slip, and why the culture just feels off. So, today's episode, I'm going to share with you 3 of the biggest warning signs with your team's alignment to know when it is slipping, and more importantly, how to catch and correct them before it's too late. Hey everyone, this is the Leading Leaders podcast, and I'm your host, John Espinosa. I help small business owners hire and retain their top talent by building high-performance teams. So today's episode, we're going to talk about those warning signs that we don't often recognize, but when it happens, you're going to know it. So today, as always, we got 3 topics. And first, before we get into the first one, do me a favor, click on that subscribe button. That subscribe button does more than just allow us to put this content out. What it also does is it tells the algorithm you want to hear more of content like this. So do me a favor. It means a lot. And if you want the show notes, click on the link, weekly recaps. In our show notes, there's a link. All you got to do is give us your email address and we'll send you those show notes just in case you're out and about, working out, driving. Last thing I want you to do is miss all these important practical applications that we're going to talk about today. So let's get into drifting priorities, which is our first topic. And when I present these topics today, I want to go through what it looks like in businesses, what I've seen in my organizations. That's right. A lot of these episodes, I'm talking about things that I've done in my businesses, in the organizations that I lead, that I want to help prevent you from doing. And then why it's important. So this first one, in drifting priorities, what do these look like? In organizations that I've been in organizations I've led, and organizations that I've worked with, when projects begin to stall out, does it feel like we start projects, there's a lot of energy behind that, and then they just fall to the wayside, and pretty soon you got this project list that's growing and growing and growing, and nothing is getting done? That's a sign that you have drifting priorities, because if everything's a priority, nothing is a priority. The other thing that I've seen is people begin to lose focus. It's the shiny objects that begin to distract us. And when that occurs, you can't stay focused on a project long enough, which that's why they stall out, because the priorities are changing and they feel like they're chasing their tails. Ever been in that situation? Yeah, I have. And then last, in meetings, and I'm big on meetings. When we are in a meeting, we have an agenda, we have an outcome that we want out of the meeting. But when you are in meetings and conversations just wander, people talk in circles, it feels like, what are we talking about? Why are we in this meeting? Have you been there? That's what drifting priorities looks like. So if you're in that situation, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur and your business is in that situation, that's a red flag. So why does this matter? Well, one big reason, it slows momentum. And when we slow momentum within our organizations and our teams, guess what? Now we have to bring more energy. And if you can't bring that energy, or if you're running out of motivational type speeches, charisma, right? Instead of just maintaining that consistency like we talked about in the last episode, it is going to sputter. Energy begins to scatter because, again, you're working on multiple things and people feel like they're never able to put anything over the finish line. So you're never ever able to celebrate anything, your successes and your wins. So this is a snowball effect that is going to continue. So how do we stop it? An application here, we got to do a pulse check. We got to hit that button, that pause button, and take a time out, whatever you want to call it, do a pulse check. So what I mean by a pulse check, ask the team, and you can do this individually or you can do this with your teams, depending on how big your organizations or your teams, your businesses are. Ask them what their top 3 priorities are. Sit them down. You can do it in a one-on-one. You can do it in a meeting. Let them know to bring what their top 3 priorities are and see how they align with your business's priorities, your priorities if you're the business owner, or the organization's priorities if you're the leader. That's a tall tale sign to tell whether you're in alignment and whether you're out of alignment. So that first one, drifting priorities, and that's the first sign. Everyone, a quick break in the episode today. Are you struggling to find and keep the right employees? You're not alone. High turnover drains time, money, and morale, leaving us frustrated, overwhelmed, and feeling like we have to settle for less. I understand how tough hiring can be because I've lived it. And with over 21 years of building high-performance teams, I know how to turn hiring challenges into lasting employee success. Through my proven lead framework, we're going to analyze your processes, design a personalized strategy, and implement solutions that create confident and long-term results. Don't let turnover hold you back. Choosing this program is that first step towards a thriving workplace. Enroll today at thejohnespinosa.com and build the team you deserve. Imagine a team that works seamlessly together or keep facing the same costly cycle of turnover. The choice is yours. Now back to our episode. The second one, that gets a little bit more dangerous. And it gets dangerous because it hides under the surface. And this is the one that comes up to bite us. You know, it's not what people are working on. I get a lot of leaders and entrepreneurs and business owners that are like, I have exciting things that my people are working on, but they're exciting to you. It's how the people feel about the things that they're working on. And so the second topic, it's the silent disengagement. And we've heard this called many different things. Silent quitting is another big term that I've heard leaders use and people in organizations use. But what does this look like? Well, remember those meetings? When it's radio silence, people stop asking questions. They're slowly pulling back from that alignment. They're slowly pulling back from being engaged. So they stop asking questions. They stop being curious. And when people begin that habit of just losing interest, again, here comes the snowball. What else does it look like? Well, cameras off. In meetings that I'm in virtual meetings, and many of us work in a virtual environment. Maybe you have a team that is virtual, spread across, even if you're in the same state. But for the most part, cameras stay off. All you see is names. All you see is static pictures. Have you been there? I was in a meeting earlier this week with an organization, and I was surprised that everybody's camera's off. Another tall tale sign that they're silently disengaging. So why does this matter? Well, it spreads quietly. Remember I said it's that underlying thing. You don't ever really see it until it comes up and people are like, "See you, John. Got another great opportunity over here." Or, "I got recruited by another organization." And when that hits you, that's a hard pill to swallow. The other thing is that once it takes root, once this disengagement starts, it's difficult to reverse. And that's the hardest, I think, part, is we think that we can fix everything. And when people begin to disengage and that starts to creep into the culture, our fabrics of our businesses and our organizations, man, that is really, really going to be hard for you, especially as a small business owner or an entrepreneur that is a creative, to begin to put back together. So what can we do here? What are some applications? Well, I'm a big fan of one-on-ones. And whether you have them formally, I love the formal one-on-one, put it on your calendar. I do weekly check-ins, whatever you want to call it, one-on-ones, check-ins, pulse checks. Informal one-on-ones are a way just to get an idea of where people are at, where they are in their own headspace. And if you notice something, let's talk about it. I had a situation where I was in a meeting. It was a small group, 3 or 4 people, and we were talking about an issue. A decision was made. It was made prematurely, but it was a decision. I was out of the office, and the individual that made that decision, you could tell something wasn't just right. And the tall tale signs were, you could see it on their face. You could see it and hear it in the way that they were speaking to the group. Again, they were disengaged. They quit asking questions. A couple times they turned their cameras off. So for me, I could have ignored that. Everything went well. We fixed it. The decision was made. People make decisions all the time. People make mistakes all the time. That's okay. I make mistakes all the time. But really where I'm going here is you got to have that conversation. So I pinged them. They're a virtual employee, and we had a conversation about it. And it ended up being something that was totally, really not business related. But if we hadn't had that conversation, I would have assumed something was wrong. And then we begin to act differently. Our assumptions drive our behaviors. So if you are assuming that somebody is disengaged, but they're not really disengaged, maybe it's something just going on in their personal lives or something that's totally outside of the business, we begin to act as different. And people feel that. So the one-on-ones, informal, really good. And then the other thing that I encourage people to do, we always have our go-tos. And what I'm talking about, when we're out of the office, it's always that go-to person that we leave in charge, or, even if we're just gone for the day, it's, hey, so-and-so is going to be the lead today. Rotate that lead. And that rotates the active voice in the environment, because whether you realize it or not, being left in charge, being delegated authority, that's a big deal. That's a big deal to people on your team and within your businesses. So rotate that. And you will be surprised that some people, they're going to lead that you never even realized how they could lead or the potential for them leading. And that's where the real magic happens. That's the secret sauce, because you come back and you're like, wow, I would have never ever guessed. So rotate that voice. Now, this third one, we talked about drifting priorities, and drifting priorities, they're the smoke. Think of this disengagement piece as that slow burn. Well, this third one, it's when it's the 5-alarm bell. Everything's going off. It's very noticeable, it's loud, and it's visible. So what is it? Conflicting stories. What does conflicting stories look like? Well, if you have a large organization, different departments have different answers for the goals of the organization. Or different people, if you have a small business, small organization, different people have different answers about what the vision is or where the organization or business is going. And what this does is it creates mixed messages, especially if you have a client that you're dealing with, clientele. Now, if people do not have clarity around the goals of the organization, how can we expect them to effectively communicate the goals of the organization to our clients? We just can't. It's not going to happen. And the other thing I have written down here is employees, they begin to feel pulled in opposite directions because of the conflicting priority. What we said earlier was if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. And when nothing is a priority, people feel like they're going in different directions. And then you get that silent disengagement because they're just going to wait it out. That's human nature. Humans are not going to get involved in conflict or what they feel as they're having to fight for their priority, their jobs, their stake in the company, whatever that looks like. They're going to get tired of that pretty quick. And the top talent begins to disengage. Your best employees begin to look elsewhere, and your business in the end begins to suffer. So why is this important? Because trust is beginning to erode. It's internal and external. People begin to mistrust the processes and the procedures that you've had in place. And I've seen this. It doesn't matter the tenure of the organization or your business. I've seen it happen to 10-year organizations, 20-year organizations, and 2-year organizations. When that trust erodes internal, now it starts creeping external. And your clients begin to lose trust in your performance, in their interaction with you, in your reliability, in your relevance. And when we lose relevance with our clients, that's when things begin to decline pretty quick. So how can we prevent that? I love these alignment statements. Again, I'm a big keep it simple. So back to alignment. It needs to be one sentence that everybody can repeat. In that one sentence, don't make it wordy, don't make it full of fluffy words. Like, get to the essence of what you do and why you do it. That's alignment. It's not about fluff. It's not about words on the wall. It's not about sales pitches. It boils down to what you do and why you do it. And then the third application is once you have that alignment statement and you've repeated it and you've repeated it and everybody until you are tired of saying it and you think everybody understands it, keep repeating it. Because the second application here that I encourage or I challenge you to do is go around to 3 people. And if you hear 3 different alignment statements, keep repeating it. It hasn't embedded itself within the culture of the organization. So those 3 things. We talked about the drifting priorities. Those are the things, the red flags. People disengaging, cameras off. Then we discussed that silent disengagement. And that begins, remember, that's that slow burn. And the third one, the bells are ringing, the alarms are going off. Because at this point, now you have chaos. You have misalignment. And we got to figure out how to pull that back. But the good thing is it's curable. It's not too late for you, your business, or for you as an entrepreneur. It can be done. So alignment doesn't vanish overnight. It slips away little by little by little. But again, you can fix it. And it starts today. So when teams stay aligned, results will follow. I challenge you, as always, take one of these applications, download those show notes, put your email address, we'll just send them right to your inbox. Implement one today. Make today day 1. I believe in you. Go be great. Talk to everyone later.